Hello everyone and welcome to my video series on Team Fortress 2 weapon guides. In this video we will be looking at the Liberty Launcher. We'll look at the basics of this weapon and go a little bit more in depth about it. Alright, let's get started. The Liberty Launcher is a rocket launcher available to the Soldier class taking its primary weapon. It starts at plus 40% projectile speed, minus 25% clip size. Let's go a little bit more in depth into what that means. So, plus 40% projectile speed. This increases the weapon's projectile speed or rocket speed from 1,100 hammer units all the way up to 1,540 hammer units per second. It's a massive difference. You'll definitely notice this. It also has a minus 25% clip size. You'll notice this one as well, as the maximum amount of ammunition loaded in the rocket is decreased from 4 to 3. That seems to be your only downfall. Alright. Let's go into the damage of this weapon. At point blank, it'll do up to 112 damage. At long range, it'll go as low as 45. So yeah, let's see. Its damage is identical to stock rockets in that case. Let's see. This weapon was released in the Uber update, I believe. Alright, let's go into the weapons. This weapon has a rate of fire of 1 rocket every 800 milliseconds. As for reloading, the first rocket loaded into the weapon will take just around under a second. However, every additional rocket you load after the first one, like a consecutive rocket without stopping the reload, will only take 800 milliseconds each. So yeah, same as the stock rocket again. This weapon is a part of an item set known as the Airborne Armaments, considering the Market Gardener, the Reserve Shooter, the Liberty Launcher, and the Jumper's G-Cap. It has no additional effect. So yeah, nothing too overpowered there. I don't know if it's just you, or I don't know if it's just me or not, but this weapon seems to resemble an RPG. The one, I was like, I don't know, was a bazooka or an RPG. The one you see in the video games. That common one, yeah. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, this projectile speed increase lets you really reach, lets your damage and impact really reach areas that you normally would not be able to. You will be able to fight in slightly longer range battles. You'll find it a lot easier to hit your enemy. Yeah, so this weapon, I like to think of it as a beginner's, not necessarily beginners, but a good weapon to use if you just want to have fun, have an easy gameplay. As this is a very easy to use weapon and all. So yeah, what was I about to say? Yeah, this weapon I feel is slightly overpowered because of this, because you have a massive projectile speed increase. Its only downfall is a single rocket, even though it's very noticeable in combat, especially in scenarios where there are multiple enemies or you're dealing with a heavy weapons guy or whatnot. Many scenarios, you'll notice that one lack of a rocket made a big difference. So yeah, even then, I still find this weapon to be very good. I find it even a little bit overpowered. So yeah, what else do I want to say about this weapon? What weapons work well with it, that's entirely up to you. Usually I prefer the gunboats because I just like to rocket jump to places to get back to the action a little faster. But it's not the worst idea to keep holding onto a stock shotgun in case you'll find yourself needing to reload. You just need that one extra shot left. You could take the you simply switch your secondary weapon and finish off the enemy, which takes slightly less time, but chances are you're gonna need a little bit more skill if you're gonna aim your shotgun, as it is a hit-scan weapon and whatnot. Anyway, yeah. So this weapon is very devastating. Really lets you deal damage over a longer range. It's a little easier to hit a moving target at longer range. So yeah. Yeah, I think that's all I want to say about this weapon. Personally, when I was a beginner in this game, this was one of my favorite weapons because, like I said, I found it very easy to use. However, one downfall, because I used this weapon as a beginner, is that I became spoiled by it. I became way too accustomed to it, and I was always used to a fast traveling rocket, and I just, when I switched to another rocket launcher with default projectile speed 1100 units, I would be completely basically I would be completely crippled. I would not be able to perform well at all with it. But you know what? I grew out of it, and now I'm pretty much back on track. So yeah. So yeah, just know if you're a beginner looking at this video and you have a minimal amount of experience with rockets, you could use this weapon once in a while for fun, but I do not recommend using it consistently, as you do not want to, you do not want to well, it's more of a principle, but one of the principles I have is never to outgrow the stock weapons, never to divert from them too much and get used to another weapon too much and then not be able to perform with stock weapons anymore. So, but that's just me. I don't know about you, but if you really don't care about that stuff, then knock yourself out. This is a great rocket launcher for beginners and such. So, yeah. What else did I want to say? Let's see, I mentioned its damage at long range goes from 45, at point blank goes all the way up to 112. It can fire one rocket every 800 milliseconds. Reloading, the first time you try and reload a rocket, it'll take just under a second. Every additional rocket after that will only take 800 milliseconds. So yeah, I suppose that's all I want to say about this. I don't know. I'm not sure. That kind of. Anyway, yeah. So, let's see. That's all I want to say about this weapon, I suppose. So yeah. So once again, it's a great weapon. I think, in my opinion, it's slightly overpowered. It's very fun to use. Don't recommend you get too used to it, and stick with your roots. Stick with your, make sure you're still able to use the default rocket. Just in case the item server goes down or whatnot. One of the reasons I like to stay somewhat proficient with them. So yeah, yeah. I suppose that's all I want to say. It's a great weapon, very devastating in many scenarios. About the only scenario it may lack in, of course, is if there's multi-target and you really need that one last rocket, or if you're against a heavy and you just need that one last rocket or whatnot, or something like that. But yeah, it's great. Really fits many scenarios. As long as you're backed up by your team, you'll be able to do. You'll be able to really contribute to them and whatnot. Yeah. Yeah, I suppose that's all I want to say. This weapon works very well in many scenarios. If you find yourself reloading, it won't take too long anyway. You have 200 health, maybe you jump around or whatnot, jump behind the corner you came out from or whatnot. So quickly reload. Maybe it's a massive firefight and not necessarily the focus of attention right now. You could easily just keep on reloading and firing more shots. But yeah. Alright. So I suppose that is everything I want to say in this video. Yeah, I think it was released in the Uber update. It could be found in the Strange variant in crate 37, I believe, and 37, and I believe one other crate, but I'm not sure. So don't hold me to that. So yeah, don't hold me to that one. But yeah. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you got some information out of it or learned something. And if not, I hope you at least found the video somewhat entertaining. And I appreciate if you'd like, comment, maybe even subscribe. I would really appreciate that stuff. So, yeah. Alright, so I suppose this will be the end of the video, and I will talk to you all later, I suppose, or not. Yeah, so, yeah, see ya everyone.